Hey, Rainbow here. How are you? And welcome to my channel. Anyway, so this is a kind of a serious one. I do really love this Multistrada V4S, and I have about 8,500 miles on it right now. And that's in just a little over 3 months. So I can kind of honestly say that I've been riding the hell out of this bike in various situations. So why am I considering getting rid of it? Great question, and I'm asking myself the same thing. There's a couple things, and some of them things that may change, but what's really not fun about this bike is that if you see my video, there's no radar on. There's no traveling radar. There's no blind spot monitoring, not in the United States, still not yet, with no end in sight and no planned date from anywhere. Can't find anything online. I've heard some stuff a long time ago about June, but honestly, I take it and I ride it so much, and I'm on the road and on the highway so much that it would have been nice to have the radar when I bought it. It would have been nice to know that. And BMW has stuff in the United States with the radar, so I don't understand why Ducati still doesn't. So it kind of sucks when you keep seeing all these reviews from all over the world and in California, and everyone's touting and talking about the radar, and we still don't have it. And before anyone gets their panties in a bunch over this, and I don't care if you do, to be quite honest with you, look at the video right here or wherever the hell it goes about I'm pissed off about the radar. So I wasn't told this until the day I picked up the bike, and was never told there was a price adjustment, and was told that they would turn it on when it's time, and the salesman said, "I'll take care of you." Then found out that everyone else knew about it. But again, I was probably the first one to get this bike in South Florida, if not in all of Florida. I mean, as soon as they came in, I got the first one that I had pre-ordered. So it's kind of sucky when you buy something that you expect a specific piece of equipment to be operating, and that's one of the reasons why you bought it, and it doesn't. Now, does it affect the overall functionality of the bike? Well, actually, yeah, it does, and I'm going to tell you why. It's safety. The blind spot monitoring comes in really handy, all right? I'm always looking in the mirrors, I'm looking left and right, I'm looking over my shoulder, but there has been 1 or 2 times that I was kind of, whoa, where did that come from? Because a car was coming up so fast on me and passed me on on my left side. And in one instance, and this would have been my fault if it would have happened, I did a over the right shoulder check, thought I was good. It was split second because traffic slowed down and I was going to go into the right lane, and there was a tractor trailer coming up behind me, and I didn't see it, and he actually swerved to miss me. So that wouldn't have ended well. And I believe that the blind spot monitoring in both cases would have helped out. Now, with the issue with the tractor trailer, yeah, it was my fault, and it would have been my fault. He swerved, he came back in the lane, I felt horrible about it, but it would have been my fault. So yes, I'm accepting responsibility, but I'm human, and that's why they're supposed to have the blind spot monitoring in these bikes. But that's not really the gist of it. I really have no intentions of doing any adventure riding. If I'm going to go off-road, I'm going to get an off-road bike, all right? I really love motocross, and I grew up on a dirt bike and an enduro, but a lightweight enduro. What I found out is when I have taken this thing off-road, it's a really heavy bike. And for those of you that are adventure riders and that's what you live for, if you want to take 600 pounds out through sand and ruts, that's your deal. Go ahead, knock your socks off all day long. I choose not to. So then you're going, well, why did you buy this bike? Because it kind of had everything else that I wanted in a bike. And Ducati wasn't even on my list, to be quite honest with you. But the bike really sold me significantly. It's a little heavier than I had anticipated. It's a little top heavier than I had anticipated. The 19-inch front wheel is great if I want to go up and over a curb or if I'm doing adventure riding. But for most of everything that we're doing and being on the street, there's no reason to have that size, wheel on the front of this bike. So I would prefer to have smaller wheels. Now I know they're coming out with a Pikes Peak version with a single-sided swing arm and smaller wheels. I think it has dual 17-inch wheels, and I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit lighter and a little bit lower. But that is something I'd be more interested in because I don't need the benefits of the adventure as far as this bike is concerned. One of the other things, and you're not going to believe I'm going to say this thing is just so powerful, and I find myself often acting like an idiot. Being honest, 100% honest. Today, for example, on 95 in traffic, at one point, I was doing 142 because I was weaving and there was another car. I'm 55 years old and sometimes I'm acting like I'm 15 because I have the power. And again, that's a discipline issue with me. And being in the Marines, I should have more discipline than that. But the bike is a lot of fun, and honestly, it's a bit dangerous. But that's a me issue. It's not a bike issue. It's nice to have that power. It's nice to have that speed. It's nice to have that stability. But that's not why I'm thinking about getting rid of it, but it's one of the things that you really have to consider if you're a bit of a wild child and you have a decent amount of testosterone and you really like getting on it and going. But ultimately, I would like to have a bike that's a little bit lower and a little less weight and a little more balanced on the low end instead of this really high end. There's a lot of weight and there's a lot of bulk up here, and that's kind of the downside, but it's what they needed in order to get a decent sized gas tank in here to give you some range, and which leads me to something else as far as range is concerned. And excuse me while it's hot in the garage. If I commute to work 7 miles one way and 7 miles back, and I'm a little aggressive with it, and at stoplights, 27, 29 miles to the gallon, that's all you're going to get. If you're just commuting short distance, now if you're going to commute on a highway and drive at a normal speed, not a problem. I don't commute on a highway. I commute on state routes that are 4-lane, in each three lane in each direction for the most part. And separated by a median, but it's stoplight to stoplight to stoplight. So the mileage just isn't great. And to be sitting at lights, I have a 32-inch inseam. I have no problem balancing the bike at a light. But I had a friend who has like a 31, another friend who has like a 30-inch. They sat on it and they were very uncomfortable on the bike. I have the seat in a lower position. They do make a seat that takes it lower, but still doesn't take away the fact that this is a much taller bike. But ultimately, I'm just disappointed that to buy a Multistrada V4S traveling radar and not have the radar component with no release date in sight, yet seeing all these press bikes having it turned on, watching another person who has a YouTube channel, so he was considered media, and he's having it turned on a bike he doesn't even own. That just kind of blew me away. And once I saw that, I was just disappointed as far as that's concerned. I would like to have a lighter weight bike, and if the Pikes Peak version that comes out is a little bit lighter weight, a little shorter, and it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that you need for the setup as far as the adventure is concerned, I would definitely be interested in a bike like that. Now, one of the things I was going to get, but I couldn't get past the bulk of it, is I was just looking for a touring bike. So I was seriously considering the BMW R1250 RT. And as far as that bike's concerned, I just don't like that big boxer engine. It just makes it so wide and it looks so bulky. And the bike seemed bulky, and I didn't like the position of the pegs, because the position of the pegs, it seems like right where you want to put your feet down at a stoplight, when you come to a stop, it's right where the pegs were, and you have to kind of force your feet forward to get in front of the pegs, and it just felt awkward. And it was just a bigger bike than I wanted, but yet it comes with all the bells and whistles that I want for touring. So this was a really great choice because it's sporty, it has power, it has great handling, it has all of the safety features as far as the electronics for the stability control, the cornering ABS, the ABS, and the auto leveling, and the different ride modes. Absolutely fantastic for that. And then there's the GS version of BMW. Again, we're going back to that boxer engine that I just can't get past that boxer engine. No matter how great it is, I don't like how big and bulky it is right up front like that. And I think this has better styling. I think it looks better. It's a gorgeous bike. But that's why I would consider getting rid of it. Height, bulkiness, the weight, and the fact that it doesn't have what I bought it for. I mean, that's what I bought it for. And I bought this, what, almost 4 months ago? 4 months ago I bought this bike? Almost 4 months. And nothing. Still doesn't have the radar in it with no end in sight. Now, why I would keep the bike? It's still very nimble. Even with this 19-inch wheel, it's very nimble, but this 19-inch wheel, raising that front end up a little bit more, it just makes the bike a little taller, but it's still very nimble even with that on there. I can imagine how it would feel with a 17-inch wheel and a little bit lower. It would probably be amazing. The tires are fantastic that it comes with these Pirelli Scorpions, and I have almost about 8,500 on these tires, and the rear looks fantastic. When I had the Indian Scout Bobber at 6,500, I had to change my tires, and they were just bald in the back. And it's supposed to be a 2-to-1 ratio. The front tire here looks almost brand new, and I expect to probably get at least another 3,000–4,000 miles at least out of this rear tire, or at least I hope so. We're heading into the summertime, so I'll probably be wearing it out a little bit more with the heat, a little bit more grip. Now, why else would I want to keep it? Besides the fact that it's fun and very nimble, it does have the power. So I'm both complaining about the power and I'm happy about the power. The speed is awesome. The fact that I have the hard cases that I can put, panniers that I can put in the back, that in itself is fantastic. When I've taken this on long trips, road trips with other guys, the bike just was super stable, really nice, felt good, extremely comfortable. Okay, I'm going to repeat this about this bike as a positive. Extremely comfortable. You know, at one point I was even considering the GT version of the MT-09, which I think is now the, whatever they call it, the M9 GT or something like that, with Yamaha. But it doesn't have the bells and whistles. I wanted a nicer bike, and which leads me to another reason why I would keep it. Like I mentioned before, it's the styling. The thing is gorgeous. If I'm going to have a Ducati, I want red. I'm not going to buy a Ducati and have a gray or black or yellow tank. I want Ducati red, and I think the bike is absolutely gorgeous. But those are some of the reasons why I would want to get rid of it, and I'm disappointed. You know, which I'm going to repeat again, the gas mileage is just, don't expect good gas mileage. When I have that video up there that you saw about the gas mileage, where I did get 40. I was averaging more than that, and I think I averaged like 40 miles to the gallon. I had, you know, a tailwind and was going 72 miles an hour. It was just like the perfect storm for me to get that gas mileage. And that was with the panniers on the back and that little extra drag. It was fine. But once you get settled in with the bike and you're just going to commute and you're going to be in traffic, don't expect to average more than 30, and expect to have days where you're going to be 26, 27 miles to the gallon, because this thing is very, very thirsty. There have been some improvements on the Cigic mapping app. There's been a couple of updates. The map has actually changed in look. That looks really good. I'm very happy about that from Cigic. Still not thrilled with Cigic that you have to download a map for every state in the United States that you're at. I don't know if it's by country, I'm assuming, you know, like in the UK and elsewhere throughout the world. But there you have it. Why I am considering, and I really am considering getting rid of the bike, and why I don't want to. I'm a little conflicted right now, and I want to know more about that Pikes Peak edition of this, which is probably not going to happen for another probably 5 or 6 months down the road, when this bike is pushing, I don't know, 9, 10 months old, and we'll see how many miles I have on it by then. But if the Pikes Peak version has the smaller wheels, it's a little bit shorter or a little bit lower bike, and maybe the radar will be approved by then, I would probably consider that. So anyway, this is Rainbow. Like and subscribe if you want. I'd appreciate it. It's been a while. I had to take a trip to California, and that was enjoyable. I would actually consider relocating to California. It's been a long time since I've been out there, and I haven't lived out there in about 35 years, when I was in the Marines, actually. But I would definitely go south of LA for sure. But anyway, Rainbow, have a good day and take care.